Welcome to Black Writer Therapy, the podcast where Black women writers come to heal, share, and be their most unapologetic Black woman writer selves. I'm your host and unlicensed therapist, Ella Shawn, and I'm excited you decided to spend this hour with us. Whether you're joining for the first time or you're a returning listener, this is your space to explore the art of storytelling, find inspiration, and connect with a community of bold and brilliant Black women writers. Hi, I am Ella Shawn here with Crystal Waller and Miss Soft Wife Life herself. Crystal, thank you so much for agreeing to come on to the Black Writer Therapy podcast and sit on my proverbial couch. How are you doing?
Awesome.
I'm very excited to have you here. I've been looking at your content and trying to figure out, am I living my soft wife life? I love the concept and your authenticity, your willingness to say, hey, Black women, we deserve better. So thank you for coming on and speaking with me. I want to hear how you went from 19 to wherever you are now, just like really succinctly share it with the listeners.
I grew up in a very small town in Oklahoma. I would say my childhood was pretty idealistic. My mother's parents lived a few blocks away. I was always at my grandmother's house. And I grew up just this very competitive little Black girl. Even then, I was already breaking barriers in my town because it was still segregated. I floated between these two worlds. I was always trying to represent and stand up as a Black girl. I wasn't Black enough for them because it's well, why are you over here in all these white spaces? Sweetie, if you only knew how hard I'm fighting for us over here. As a young kid, you don't know how to articulate all of that usually to people. But I remember thinking the very ones that think I've turned on them have no idea how hard I fight for them and represent for them when I'm in all these white dominant spaces where I'm the only little Black girl. My mom wasn't exactly a cheer mom. And it wasn't because she didn't care, but her love language has always been how much does it cost? I'll pay for it. And so there was a lot of times I was in those white dominant spaces and really had to advocate for myself. I was a really high achiever, got into Spelman, which is a funny story too, because I actually wanted to go to Juilliard. I got 2 callbacks, but I didn't get in ultimately.
For
acting.
Oh, I see it.
I thought I was you're going to be in New York. So when that didn't work, I knew I had to get out of Oklahoma. I remember watching The Cosby Show when I grew up in different world. And I thought, I think I'm going to apply to Spelman.
How do you go from Juilliard to Spelman?
Applies for Spelman just off the cuff. And I'm telling you, I didn't even write the essay. About a month later, I got this big, thick packet envelope. I got in. It was a really cool experience. When I got there, I think the thing I noticed immediately was I got to relax like I had never relaxed before. Because I didn't feel like I had to represent the whole Black race. And I didn't feel like I could never mess up. I got to just really tap into myself as an individual. I was in the theater department, the double major, psychology and theater. And I just really dove into more of my creative and my artistic side because that wasn't the thing to do at Spelman.
That's crazy.
I'm the kind of funky, whatever, wear what I want. I remember when I found these pair of jeans at the Goodwill and I wore them on campus, everybody just stared. They were this old pair of Levi's. They were a low rise and they just had all these rips in them because somebody had worn them though, not because they were manufactured. The amount of stares I got every time I wore those jeans on campus was crazy.
That's why I said, I don't know that I would ever been able to go to an HBCU because I just don't have the wardrobe. I still don't think I have the wardrobe for it.
It
put on some jeans and a t-shirt.
A fashion show at 8:00 in the morning.
You and I would have been kicking it real strong because
what's the point of being on an old girl's campus? And my first husband, he was at Morehouse.
This is quintessential love story here, right?
Yeah. And he was an upperclassman. He was a couple of years older than me. I remember the first time we went out with some friends of his. And I was just this little freshman living on campus. I just thought him and his friends were the coolest. I love Jones. And I thought Erykah Badu was just everything because you got to remember, I'm this Black girl growing up in These are things that are not in my environment. I remember being so nervous. They just seemed like Black sophistication. They talked about books and this and that. And when they were smoking their clove cigarettes and just ordering
So you were
drinks
in a love jump.
Being around them really taught me to question things. And that kind of started opening that path up for me. When we got married, like we were both still in college. He was senior at Morehouse, and I must have been going into my junior year. Our oldest son went to so many college courses. We said that by the time he was 2, he could have already had a degree because he was always on campus and always in a class. We were the quintessential Spelman Morehouse couple. His mom worked estranged because she became very religious. If you weren't talking about religion, she didn't actually talk about things that hurt him growing up. There was a lot of things that he hadn't processed. He didn't handle the stresses of being a new dad and being a husband very well. And I was really young too.
Right.
I'm a new mom. I'm a young wife and just trying to make sure I do a good job in my department. I didn't have enough wisdom or life experience to support him in any of those ways. For me, it was like, okay, we went to college, we graduated, we're with each other, we're married, we're going to start our family. This is what you do. What's your problem, buddy? Do your part. I don't know what your part is because I'm not a man. I just know how to do my part. Those stresses led to self-medication for him. I denied it for a long time because I had this image of, I graduated from Spelman. He went to Morehouse. This kind of stuff doesn't happen to people like us. That was my mindset. Like, this does not happen. No, we don't have alcoholics. We're not being violent. He's not starting to get a little much with me. It was a bad day. He was under stress.
Okay.
We don't live in those parts of the world, and we don't live in the projects, and we don't have those problems. This is a young woman, new mom, new wife. And with all of this going on, I didn't have the wherewithal to help him get help. All I could think about at the time was protecting my kid. I really wasn't reaching out to my family because I felt embarrassed.
Crystal, that is so much. I got married at 24. I look back on it now and I'm like, girl, what in the hell were you thinking?
I had kids older than what I was when we got married. Imagine them having a child. I can't even imagine our oldest kids being in a committed relationship. So to think of them being married, all of this stuff that I was already doing at that age, it's like insane to me now, looking back. It's
a lot. Yeah.
It's going on. And not to mention the other things that were happening. As a younger adult, he was self-medicating, going into more extreme scenarios to the point where I was like, I don't feel safe. There was one particular instance where our relationship is fine now. You know what I mean? He's doing things in his life. It's never my intention to tarnish him or anything like that. But it got to the point where I did not feel safe. More than anything, I did not want my kids thinking this is what this is supposed to be. And so I was like, I got to get out of this. And there was one particular night where it got really bad. And I remember closing my eyes in the moment that it was happening, prayed. And I said to God, whoever, the universe, if you will help me to get out of this moment, I promise I will get my kids and we will get away from this because this is crazy. This is not good. And that's what I did. He woke up the next morning. I had his stuff packed and I was like, I'm so sorry, but you have to go figure it out. You cannot be here anymore. This can't be what's around my kids. This is not what I'm going to show them. This is not what I'm going to teach my daughter. This is not what I'm going to teach my sons. By hearing this, seeing this, he was angry and was letting me know how nobody was going to want me with 3 kids. And what was I going to do? I'd just been a stay-at-home mom. And I just held my peace. Only plan was that he had to get out of the house because this was not going to be my life. I will not be on the news. This just won't be my story. This will not be my story. And he left.
May I please ask, and you don't have to answer, but I'm going to ask, how old were you?
How old was I or how old am I now?
How old were you when you said this is not going to be my life?
I was like 23, maybe 22, 23. It was like early 20s. I wasn't 25 yet.
I am looking at you thinking, where do you get this fortitude? Where do you get this audacity to say, you know what? I'm 22 years old. Now you have 2 sons and you're like, you know what? This is not going to be it for me and them. Wow.
I have to tell you, I really do come from a family that was extremely loving. Every Thanksgiving, we have this little thing where we thank everybody and we just talk as a family. One of the last times we did it a couple of years ago, I really had to hold back tears. I was just telling them, thank you for loving me and always speaking life into me and letting me know how worthy and valuable I am, because I know it was that always got me out of things that were beneath me.
Yeah. Oh,
it was
beautiful.
That always feeding into me from a very young age, from all of my family members. Me being so blessed that I never experienced any kind of abuse from not one family member, not an uncle, not a cousin. All I ever received was, you're the best. If you want to, you can do it. Just constantly always feeding into my greatness. And that's why in that moment, I knew this is not my life.
Never seen or experienced anything like that. You are an anomaly. You're like a Pegasus unicorn. I've not ever spoken to a Black woman that didn't come with familial trauma that led her into this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So to say, no, I'm from love. We're going to pull together and make sure this child has everything she needs and desires. And then that is how you were informed to know, this is not my life. And this is not what my people sent me out of Oklahoma.
No, not at all.
Wow.
My grandmother, just this amazing, like my grandmother's on both sides of the family, honestly. My grandmother on my mom's side was just very traditional matriarch, could do everything, cook anything, make anything, just took in anybody.
So you really didn't have an option other than to continuously level up and never accept what was beneath you. Because I'm sure that grandmother, is she still with you?
No, neither of them. Both of them are passed, but
they're still here.
A great deal of time
they are
both.
Still here. And if you'd have stayed in that mess, we're going to fast forward. By the way, thank you for being so conscientious of your ex-husband. You have not said one opinionated thing about him. You've stated these are the facts that happened, and that's what led to this. But you have not. Your grandmother said, if you can't help him, don't tear him down.
Our oldest daughter is living in Georgia now, and she transferred there to go to school. She's actually living with him now while she's going to school. It's not even been barely a year that she's been there with him. Me and my now husband talk about it. We're like, that's just so beautiful the way that worked out, because they don't have so much of a traditional father-daughter relationship per se, but they know he's family. I think it's the universe's way of giving him back some time that he lost. I love that for them. I love that for her. I love that for him.
I think it's you. People always say this to me. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. You're so nice. I'm just really honest. And because I don't have the capacity for all the sweet niceness, because I won't remember to be that way later on. But you have this energy that is very much, the only word I can think of is coagulating. It brings things together and keeps them together in such harmonious states. We're not looking for balance. We're looking for harmony. And that is what you seem to create in your space. Am I just reading wrong?
No, I think you're reading that perfectly. The fact that you even said the word harmony, I thought, wow, she is very specific, because that's the word I think of most. If you want to see me get out of character, disturb the essential harmony of what I have going on. And that's when you will see a totally different side of me. That's when you will see that fierceness come out. But other than that, you won't get a lot of that from me. I'm very patient. I'm very open. I'm very understanding. If people need the love and I have it to give, I don't mind giving it. But it has to be in harmony. I will not do anything less than that, because I just can't function with anything less. Sometimes I don't know if that's a weakness on my part, that I am not able to endure a ton of chaos and upheaval. But I can't function for long in that kind of environment.
No, I don't know that we are meant to function in that environment. I just wrote my newsletter talking about that very same construct, how we have accepted this kind of chaos that isn't the chaos of creation, right? The chaos possibility, right? Not that chaos, but we've accepted this very kind of heavy, dense, male-centered chaos.
Mhm.
And then we call it being strong because we can stomp through the chaos.
We've been taught that we get rewards the more we swim upstream, but you're going this way anyway. So you may as well just turn and go with the flow because you're too tired. The stream is taking you either way. Our society kind of rewards those people. They go, look at them turning around and swimming against the stream. Good for them.
And yes, I think you are the center of this harmonious situation. We have moved from 19 to 20 something. You have your children, you're doing this, you have the support of your family, and you're married again. Now, I envision this bohemian homestead situation. Did I? Because this is what I wanted to envision, like this totally bohemian homeschool, homestead.
That's exactly what we were doing. That's why it took me a long time to really tell my story. But again, I needed a way to do it because I wanted to share the overall story in a succinct way, in a way that you understood these were chapters. I was hesitant to share it because people would go, oh, you're some woman who had a bunch of babies and just married a bunch of random people.
You're too intentional to be random. And so that's why I saw this this kind of, I remember thinking, oh, I've always wanted to try that. I've always wanted to try that whole boho homestead homeschool situation.
We had a different world. And then it was like this whole
Then you became Cree's character, right?
I did because in like coming out of that first one, that is when I was really coming to a lot of my spiritual awakening and really growing as a woman and understanding what's going on. I was doing these natural births, which were just giving me all these explosions spiritually, understanding more about what was going on around me. So again, that harmony, I thought, do I have to climb a ladder? Do I have to do the traditional Spelman thing, or can I do something else? And I thought, I want to do something else. I want to use my excellence in a different way. Like, wouldn't that be so cool if we grew our own food and took charge of our kids' education and did all these things? And so, that's exactly what was going on in the second marriage. You saw that exactly right.
Okay, then I don't know. Maybe there's a connection here because that's crazy. Because that's exactly what I saw.
That's exactly what it was.
What happened? Because I was like, that's beautiful.
He was a good seller of dreams as far as having a vision. He was very good at that. I am very good at bringing things together. But I realized how much work I was doing all the time. How little he was doing was pulling me out of who I really was. I got a lot more rigid in my personality. I was creating this environment of kids running barefoot in the garden. My last two children, the youngest two girls, I gave birth to them in my grandmother's house. We had moved from Atlanta back to Oklahoma into one of our family's houses that we have there and have all this land. And so that's where we did our gardening and we're able to homeschool the children and they're running barefoot in the yard. Then I realized I was the one creating all of that. I was making sure all that kept going. When a phone call had to be made, I was making the phone call. When something needed to be paid, I was paying the bill. When there was writing for a grant, I was writing the grant for us to keep our little homeschool situation going and to get computers for the kids. And he was just basically flexing it. Look what I have. I have this beautiful natural wife who has home births and we've got these amazing kids and people thought it was so awesome and beautiful, just like you did. And he loved that part, but not so much the day-to-day efforts and energy that it took to create that scenario. And I found myself becoming a lot more rigid and a lot more stressed, honestly, even though I was creating this very relaxed, beautiful environment for him and my kids, because I'm telling you, this is before a lot of the things they have in the store now. I laugh about it now. I was soaking almonds all the time to make fresh almond milk. I'm straining milk and cashew milk. I can make anything from any nut, any leaf you can think of, sweetie. Like anything. I bet you I hardly ever bought anything from a store.
That's how crunchy we were. And the thing
it was crunchy.
And the word you used just now, I was becoming rigid. And you said you were stepping out of who you really wanted to be. And now I get it. If you say nothing else, this entire session on my couch, I get it. He made you step into masculine energy. Oh my God.
And and that's what I just tell people about that situation. There's really not any one moment or certain thing that was happening like in my first one where it was these big dramatic things. It wasn't that with that one. It was more just like you said, I was very self-aware. And the more I was delving into my spirituality, I was an avid meditator, still am. I walk barefoot all the time. And I was living in my grandmother's house. So I felt her energy around me all the time. I was very in tune with myself. And I did not like what I was becoming. I was like, no, I feel like a guy. I don't like this. I was really in my masculine a lot and I did not like it. And he didn't either. He was starting to not like me too.
But he put you there.
And he would always say, just relax. You get so, you just need to relax more. And I would be like, but there's not an environment to relax. And sometimes I would feel bad. I just thought, am I just being like a big old bitch or something? What is wrong with me? Maybe I do. He's right. But then I thought, because I'm doing everything. That's why I'm not relaxed.
Right. Because if I relax, we don't eat. If I relax, my kids don't have. Because being in that space is not a happy and healthy space for a woman at all.
And I was just like, I can't do this. When we made it past year 7, he was feeling pretty good. Both of my first 2 marriages lasted 7 years exactly. I feel like you've had time to grow, and where there are problems for us to evaluate, figure out what needs to happen, and time to correct those. I have never left a relationship where I did not give time, space, and information on what needed to be corrected for me. Right. But when I see it's not being acted upon, I'm like my grandmother. Oh, you don't think that meat greasy? He was content. I promise you, if I wouldn't have exited, we would still be there. I've worked with a lot of Black women over the years, holding space via yoga, doula work. I understand the fibroid epidemic and the spiritual and energetic side of that. I'm like, I'm not doing that to myself. I need to practice what I preach. This is not going to end. I gotta go. And he was also very content with not enoughness.
In lack.
And limited resources financially, home. He was way too comfortable. And I just thought, this is the least I've ever had in my life. Financially, resources. And I thought, I can't have my kids struggling like this. I didn't even grow up struggling like this. I can't keep coming up with plans. And you fall off, and now I got to come up with another plan. I thought, I was like, I can't do this anymore. If I'm going to do all this thinking and do all of this, I could just do this by myself.
And there you go.
And that's what I did.
I have to ask the question, because the unlicensed therapist in me is like knocking. What did you ever have this moment where you said, what is it about me that keeps attracting this? I'm going in because we have to go into that dark space, to that very dark space that we all hold. And most of us don't want to go hang out there. I personally love hanging out in my dark space.
It does. It makes things a lot easier later.
Did you go into that space and say, girl, what is in here that keeps...
Yeah. I realized what it was. It was 2 things for me, because I thought, what is going on? I mean, I know I don't have any like deep, serious self-esteem issues. I'm not a person that would settle for something. I only do what I want to do. And I realized it was 2 parts for me, and they were this. One, I realized that those kind of men were attracted to me because of that very matriarchal, familiar energy that I have, and that nurturing energy that I have. They both had strange, not good relationships with their mother figures. So I realized, okay, I'm drawing that energy for one. And the reason why I knew that is because I went back to a quote that I remember I had read years before when I was reading Sacred Woman by Queen Afua, who I actually was lucky enough to do a workshop with her years and years ago, my early years in Atlanta. This was when I was still didn't even have a natural yet. She told me, you're going to work with a lot of Black women and you're going to help a lot of Black women. I went with a friend. I thought, oh, okay, that lady was cool, a little deep, and did her little thing. But I remembered when I was reading her book years ago, there was a part in it when she talked about relationships. She said, as women, we have to be very careful when you start to hone yourself as a woman, especially a Black woman, and you're opening yourself up spiritually and deepening yourself. She said, everybody that you attract in a man, they're not always a partner. Sometimes they're a patient. They're patient. And you need to be able to discern and know the difference. And I hadn't been able to, and I wasn't discerning that part. I remembered when I read that and I wrote it down in my journal and everything, that part. And I thought, I have been taking in patients. These are not partners. These are patients. These are like brothers that here's a sister you could talk to, lean on type of thing. And it was so funny because at the end of both of those marriages, towards the end, when I tell you I had the least amount of any kind of sensual, sexual, romantic energy for either one of them, like they were like brothers to me at that point.
Yeah.
That I just couldn't help anymore. That I was like, we've always been close, but you got to go figure your life out. I've got to go live my life. I'll always love you, but I can't do this with you anymore kind of vibe. But then the second part was my suburban Black girl guilt. I had so much growing up, especially living in Atlanta and coming into contact with amazing, beautiful Black people and women from all kinds of backgrounds and places and hearing their stories. I thought, wow, my life has been very calm and ideal and unique in that sense of trauma and abuse. And so I think for many years, I thought as a Black woman who also was lucky enough to come from such a ideal background, I thought I owed it to other Black people to just pour out this. They've had all these things happen and I haven't. And I was just blessed that I didn't have these certain things happen to me. So who am I to just turn my back on them and not try to give something back? Even with those marriages, I knew there was this little part of me that knew not really equally yoked, but I had been living in Atlanta for a long time too, hearing all of these so-called Black power speakers and teachers who were, you've got to give a Black man a chance. He never has what everybody else has. He doesn't have the same resources. He doesn't have this the same as everybody. Life's not fair for him. So you got to help him out. And so it influenced me. I really thought that's what I had to do if I wanted to be with a Black man. And on top of that, feeling a little guilty as this suburban Black girl who grew up doing pageants and cheerleading and just had this really idealistic life growing up. It was like Friday night lights, football, and going to the drive-in. That was literally my life. And so I really thought people be going through it. Like I thought I owed them this. And I realized finally with those relationships, I was like, I didn't owe them anything as Black men. And I was sorry that certain things had happened in their life. And I was hoping that they find their healing for that. But I realized I can't unheal myself enough to make you be healed. It's not going to make a difference. I can't.
I can't unheal myself to make you be. That's powerful, Crystal.
Black Writer Therapy will return after this break. You don't want to miss the second half of the show where Crystal Waller shares how she went from a single mom of 7 to living the soft wife life. And now back to Black Writer Therapy with host Ella Shawn.
I remember I got this really awesome job, getting paid well. I was a radio DJ for a little while. A single mom with 7 kids. I was just out somewhere hanging out with this friend. And there was a local radio station promoting some store. And she was introduced me to one of the managers. And he goes, "You have an amazing voice." And I said, "What?" And he was like, "Well, your speaking voice is very distinct. Have you ever been on the radio?" And I said, "I don't know. How much does it pay? And what are the hours?" You know? And he told me what the pay was. And I said, "Sure, I'll give it a shot." I started working like 2 days later. And it was so random. And but it wasn't random. It was intentional. Everything just always has worked out for me in that way. I've always met the best people. I met this amazing Caribbean lady, her and her husband, and had this beautiful home. They had horses and all of this land. I don't even remember how we met. She took me in like a daughter. She just adored me. She had no kids. So she would take my kids in as her grandkids. She would bring out her nice dishes and feed them little snacks. I'd be like, "Oh, you don't have to do that." She's, "No, how are they going to learn if you don't give them nice things?" I met another older guy, which was actually a white guy, and he was old, like grandfather that had worked in the radio industry for a long time. He became like a mentor for me, and he had this huge house, big old pool, and Kids would just go swim whenever they wanted. Even though I was a single mom with 7 kids, they didn't feel it as much, because the universe would bring me all of these angels from everywhere, and it would provide. And it was like seeing them rest and still having fun and not knowing how stressed and worried I was about how I was going to make all the bills the next month would give me some relief. It would be like, okay, they're good. They feel safe. They're splashing around the pool, or they're getting to ride a horse right now, even though I don't know how I'm going to pay rent next month. But hey, they're riding a horse right now and they're happy and singing songs. And that gave me a lot of relief. I'd worked at the radio station. I was really busy for a while there. I told them I need a day off. And they were like, okay, cool, whatever. I said, I think I'm going to take tomorrow off. I took that day off. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was really rainy, nice drizzly day. It was one of those real random days where the kids slept in really late. It was during the summer. They weren't up at the crack of dawn asking for breakfast. I got up, put some music on, and I was cleaning my house. And then I got really quiet and I sat down and I thought, okay, but what's next? What are we going to do?
Wow.
Because I was like, this is not really sustainable. Yes, I know that I'm very lucky and I keep meeting all these wonderful people and I always get the help right when I need it. The money always comes right at the right moment. But I thought, what's the end game here, Crystal? Like, it was like a little meeting with self. And I thought, do you want to be married again? And I was like, definitely. Because I realized I really liked being married. I didn't enjoy how those situations had panned out, but the concept of marriage, I always really loved that. And there's no reason that you have to stop loving that as a concept just because it didn't work out with those other people. I first accepted that, yes, I liked being married. In fact, I love being married. I love that partnership and the intimacy of that. I made that choice for myself. Then I thought, could you be married again? You've been divorced twice. I let my inner critic run rampant for a second. You've got all these kids and you've been married twice. And I thought, but I still feel like there's somebody that would really like me. I was like, so what do I need and what do I want? It's like somebody of good character that's loving and kind and that will really take in the kids just like they're their own and it's not a problem. They don't feel weird about it. That's not a problem. That's what I want. And then I thought, what do I need? I need somebody probably older because they're going to be more established. Yes. They're probably going to be more mature emotionally and spiritually. I need somebody who is very established in their career and financially well off because, baby, we got 7 kids. I don't have time to help you sell your mixtape out your trunk. Okay. Can't do that. And so I just wrote down all these things. When I was at my mentor's house one day, I saw something on TV about some restaurant or something that was in the city where I live now, which was about 2 hours from where I was then. And I thought, oh, that looks really cool. I was like, oh, I want to go there. I want to try that. The next time I get paid, go in there. And I did. And that's how I met Robert 2 weeks later.
Shut up.
I swear.
Shut up. So wait. Now, look at here. I'm a good Southern Black woman. And I know the power of words. I do believe words matter. But let me write down exactly what I need. And then let me go and treat myself to a husband. Because that's essentially
that's what I did.
I love seeing all the TikToks with you guys together. You look amazing together, by the way. He's quite handsome, very debonair, sweet. Just everything about what you guys present. I love that what you present is a sweetness. It is a softness. It is a kindness between you two that I think Black women as a whole, we have not been afforded. I'm choosing my words carefully here. We have not been afforded the opportunity to even sit back and consider being treated with such softness, such kindness. Your job is here to just co-create, right? To just be creative and be amazing. And then I'm here to make sure that you're safe, that you are provided for.
Being with him, I knew I had to say something about it.
Girl.
That's what made me start my account. I had also stepped away from a lot of the community stuff I was doing. I was teaching all these Black women free yoga classes. I was extending all of my doula services, just overextending myself a ton. Still having that little, I owe them something. Yeah. When I finally stepped back and I thought, am I the only Black woman that it's, wow, this is different. Just somebody saying, no, you don't have to do that. and feeling on guard
Mm-hmm.
against
Waiting for the
him
other
for
shoe,
that reason.
right?
What
Relate.
is wrong with you? What are you trying to do? I thought, are you just trying to get me dependent on you financially so that you can be abusive towards me? What is it you're trying to do, sir? I tell people all the time, I know this man was supposed to be with me because the patience and the love that he had at the beginning, a lesser man would have been like, okay, girl, bye.
Because you're crazy.
Having to convince someone to live a soft life with 7 kids. I'm convincing you that all you have to do is whatever you want. That in of itself is a huge job. I can afford to take care of all of us. Why would you need to? And I was like, but what's the catch? There's no catch. I love you. I love them. I want you to be happy. Call me crazy. You know what I mean? And it was that simple. And I just thought, what is wrong with me? This is
You are
crazy.
a Black woman in America. That's what was wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's so hard to believe that we actually deserve this idea of a soft life. There are a lot of people I've seen on TikTok that are like, oh, soft life my ass, because you are giving something up, right? There's an exchange taking place and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And there's all of this kind of anti-soft Black life, like soft wife life or soft life period for Black women,
Right.
by other Black women who have never experienced this soft life or just don't believe it's a thing without actually giving up major pieces of yourself. So yeah,
Right.
sure you have a soft life, but how many people are you having to sleep with to get it, right? Because you hear all of this. And I know for a fact, not because you have said it, but just because I know Black women, you probably get all of that in your comments.
Oh, for sure.
And more, right? And especially because your soft life husband happens to be a white man.
Right.
So now here we are, beautiful Black woman, 7 beautiful Black kids, a white man. Oh, so now what? Oh, we have a fetish. We have this. We have that. I can't imagine the crazy you get in your DMs, in your comments. And yet I'm looking at you and it's nothing but love and joy and peace and ease.
I love
on your face. And yes, we go for it. And that's what I see in you and on you. Okay. So like, how are you defining this soft life outside of the financial stuff? What is soft life? How does it behave inside you?
I think it's that acceptance of, yes, I can have that. Yes, I deserve to feel that good feeling. Yes, I deserve to be surrounded with beautiful things. That's why I always tell women too, I'm like, your soft life can look however you want it to look. It doesn't have to be jet setting and shopping in Europe and trips to designer stores. If that's what you love, then you should manifest that. And I have that, and there's nothing that says you can't. And so that's why I felt like when I presented my platform, I thought it would help people break out of all that stuff you said, because I feel like I don't really look, first of all, I don't feel like I look particularly like a lot of the Black luxury girls that you see out there. I think I give all of that, but it looks very different on me. And that was one of the reasons why I was specific about putting the softness at the forefront, because I wanted people to see that soft life and Black girl luxury can look like many things. It's whatever fits your vision of that soft life. That may be getting up every morning and walking your dog and be able to have the freedom, the luxury, the leisure to sit and crochet for 2 hours.
Get out of my life. Your Get out of my soft life. Stop. I don't have a dog, but me and my cat. Because that really is my soft life. Like really getting up, feeding my cat, brewing my tea, and crocheting for 2 hours.
I try to tell people that, and I just balance it. I was never shy about speaking about that. I don't know if it's because I'm a Taurus. Some people aren't into that sort of thing, but I am. I feel like I'm very matter of fact about material things. I don't find money any less spiritual than meditating. It's all the same to me. It's all energy. I try to bring in the balance to show women too. I'm not telling you to go out and just find the first guy you can see with money. That does not equal a soft life.
Okay.
Does he have good character? is he a good person? Is he safe to be around? You still do a background check, and you need to know who this person is. Just because he has money doesn't automatically make him a person that you need to move in with tomorrow or be trying to get to marry you in 6 months. You still need to question them. You still need to vet them. I still vetted my husband. What's his background? Where are you from? Were you married before? How many kids did you have? And what's going on? Why did that marriage end? And running a background check because I have 7 children. I'm not going to bring some man around my kids because I don't want to be alone or because he has some money in his pocket. Let's not forget, sweetie, I have a degree, credentials, and certificates. So if I want to get out here and do it, I can do it.
It's
and so I just laugh at it. And it's just funny to me now. And it actually has been very interesting to me. I sometimes just sit back and think, oh, the universe has such a sense of humor. Took a white man, 15 years my senior, from a totally different walk of life. You wouldn't have put us together just looking at us in public. This is the person who taught me the most about being a soft Black woman and made space for me to be a soft Black woman. This person who's supposed to be my enemy, this is the person who actually made the space for me to be soft, told me in words I could be soft, backed those words up with action so that I knew I really could be. And every step of the way kept encouraging me, you don't have to have that guard up. You don't have to do that. Just kept reminding me of what I really deserve. Like, do you see you? There would be times where I would say, babe, what in the world made you want to even date a woman with 2 divorces, 7 kids? He was like, have you seen you? He said, it's the whole thing. You can't even break it down in parts. It's this whole thing that's you. And it's just, he said, you can't get that everywhere. He was like, and so whatever was coming with it, I was just like, that's fine.
I'm getting goosebumps. Like I have a goose flesh over here because that to be seen, that's the soft life. To be seen and appreciated and accepted 100%. That, for me, is soft life. Because
I think you just gave me a new definition. Like you made it so succinct because really behind all of it, all the things I post and I talk about, that is what it comes down to, what you just said. That's the only reason why I'm sharing. It's never to brag or boast. I am really sharing to show other Black women specifically. There are people out here who see us and think we are just beautiful. And they actually see us the way that we really know that we are inside, that part of us that doesn't make us settle for certain situations where we know there's something that we could do better. There are people who agree with us and will treat you as such. There's nothing you need to do. My husband used to tell me all the time, I'm so proud of everything you've ever accomplished and will accomplish and the school you've gone to and the family you come from and just all the things you've done. But at the beginning, he used to always tell me, you never have to run your resume down for me. I'm going to do whatever needs to be done for you regardless. He said, you could be a billionaire and I would still go climb a mountain for you.
And so that's why I was so like, let me get this woman on my show because I knew, and like I said, I'm not always on TikTok because mental health. I knew that your story was so much deeper, had so much more depth than like you put yourself out there authentically, but also I wanted to just chat with you because like I said, I think I see you. And so there is this space that you hold for Black women who really see themselves.
That's why I knew how to get back in touch with you. Because I could feel it just through the email. It's wow, like I feel like she kind of sees me. And I do. Sees me. I was like, which is, I feel like sometimes rare. Sometimes I think people definitely can feel things from me that feel good to them. So they think, okay, I'm going to come closer to this because I like how I feel around this person or what they're bringing. But I don't feel all the time that a lot of people see me. When I find people that really see me, it always stands out in my mind. I go, uh-oh, I think it's the person that sees you. Tag that.
Yeah. And because that's a really important like part of my journey is making sure I want to be seen. I desire. It is one of my deepest desires to be seen fully as I am. So How do I ensure that I am always keeping my eye on the prize? I am always making sure that I see others and I let them know, I see you.
You're very good at it.
I do. I know. Look, I'm not even modest, right?
I felt you too earlier when you said people say you're so sweet, because people say that to me sometimes when I say something about them. So I really understood what you said when you said I'm being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I relate. Because it's like, I don't have time to think of fake compliments.
I don't have the energy for that. I really don't. I'm a spoonie and I have very limited spoons to give out. So no, I'm not about that life at all. But yes, I've been very intentional this season. I'm going into my second season and I've been very intentional with the women I've invited onto my show, because I'm like, the universe is telling me I need to go ahead and do this thing. Okay, Ms. Waller, man, I could talk to you forever. I really could. But
I gotta go pick up my kids from school.
Tell the listeners where they can get in touch with you, what you're working on next, and anything else you may want them to know.
Yes, I definitely feel like there is some more writing in my future, because there's lots of things that I like to say now that I am living softer and being more intentional about curating my lifestyle. I have the space to write some of the things that I've wanted to write. I actually have one of my bucket list things, if I could do it. I may need you in this. I've always wanted to write a fiction book. It just seems very overwhelming, though. I just think, how do they come up with this story? And then the character, I get so involved in them. And I just think, wow, that must be so hard to do. Because when I write, I'm often writing very instructional things and from my own story. And I just think it's the coolest thing to be able to write all these different characters. Maybe one day I'll do it. I feel like that's a big task, though. But definitely other books on the subject of softness. I also have a journal that a lot of people don't know about, because I just didn't promote it as much as I did the Marry Well Black Girl, because I did it around the same time. And that's the Stay Soft Journal. It's for Black women who want to live unapologetically soft. And it's an actual journal. There's prompts in it and there's little things in there that kind of help them. And I say it's for women, Black women who want to live soft, that they don't want it just as like a look. You really want to do that work and go in and why am I being like this? And what is this? And why do I feel like I have to always be in charge? And what, all those things. And you really want to do a little bit of that self-therapy with yourself. That journal is really good for that. You can always find me on my TikTok at Soft Wife. Look, I forget my own tag. I think it's Soft Wife Life. Creator of Soft Wife Life is what it is. Yeah. Creator of Soft Wife Life on TikTok. And I'm on there pretty often. I take breaks periodically, but I go on there basically when I feel it. If there's some things in my spirit and I feel like sharing it, then I share it. The book is on Amazon. You can get it audio version, Kindle version, hardback, paperback. So you can get that pretty much in all forms. Just look up Marry Well Black Girl or put in Crystal Waller. It'll come up. If you're on my TikTok, there's a link for it in my bio.
Crystal, you are lovely. Seriously. You are lovely. Your energy is dope. And I am so happy that we made this happen, and trust and believe there is something going on. And yeah, you'll be writing the fiction book. I'll help you. I have a publishing company. And yes. And I
thank you for having me.
You're going to do work. No, for real. Thank you for coming. Like, you're gorgeous. Like, y'all, I don't have a video podcast, but she's really beautiful.
Oh, you're sweet. Yeah. Thank you.
I told you, girl.
She said, I'm not sweet.
If you were ugly, I wouldn't say anything. I'd just be like, yeah, she's so nice. She's so gorgeous.
You're so easy to talk to. This was really fun. Thank you for having me. This really fed my soul today. This was very energizing and invigorating. This was really awesome. Thank you.
Then the couch has done its job, and so has this unlicensed therapist. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Black Writer Therapy, where we amplify and celebrate the voices of unapologetic Black women writers. We're proud to be part of the Alive Podcast Network. Be sure to tap into the only Black woman-owned podcast network with its very own proprietary platform and app. When you download the Tap In app, you gain access to nearly 100 Black creative voices. To support Black Writer Therapy, subscribe and choose me as your favorite podcast host. 50% of your subscription fee goes directly to this show and allows me to continue to bring you quality content like this. Until next time, remember, be kindest to yourself first, always, and in all ways. I am Ella Shawn, your host for Black Writer Therapy Podcast.